Good day everyone, I am Dreamadev, the only developer working on Iridescent. This video will most likely come out somewhat later, but on the 20th of October, we had the 1-year anniversary of this project being public. I am using this video to look back at everything that happened around the game and celebrate the progress. I will also talk about future development and the things that will happen in the near and not so near future. I will leave timestamps so that people can skip around to whatever they are interested in. Let's not waste time and begin. You might have caught the fact that I said that this is the anniversary of the project being public and not since I started. That is because there were a lot of different versions floating around in my drives before I settled on this. In that time, I was a lot less serious on developing the game and just trying to get something that felt right. I rarely worked more than a month on a single build, and I always followed it up by a multiple month-long break. That's why you can see the art style and mechanics change drastically in each build. When I got something I thought worked, I made a whole level. That level was shown in the very first video and was also the first playable build in itch.io. That's it. We had one level, one boss, and one mini-boss with a few enemies. With things like the dialogue system and UI being things that I am updating to this day. Everything in that first video was all that existed in the game back then. Neffy, the other half of your whole kit didn't exist yet. We didn't even have a tutorial, for fuck's sakes. No, this is not a tutorial, this is a shameful part of my psyche that I am trying to suppress. If you look back at that video, you will notice how rough everything was. The attacks didn't have a visual or audio telegraph. Animations were all over the place, UI sucked balls. The dialogue was even more long-winded than it is now, and of course there were a lot of bugs that existed in the game that I didn't even know about. That is why I was so keen on releasing the demo as soon as possible. I knew that there were things I just miss because I have played the game far longer than I expect from any of my users. I was not reliable as a source of good game feel. So I am really happy that there were at least some people who played the demo. Everyone who did and left feedback, I love you guys. The game would be far, far worse without you. Thank you, with all my heart. So, what have I been up to the past year? From the top, I am not going to list of all the small changes like the updated animations with telegraphs, all the changes the UI got, bug fixes, new sounds, game feel stuff like Coyote Time, implementing the feedback, and all the invisible stuff under the hood that made my life as a developer way easier. We could be here all day and I would miss half of it. Let's get to the juicy stuff. We now have 3 more levels. That might not seem like a lot, but what I am counting as a level is the game from the end of one dungeon to the end of another. So, starting in the capital, doing the quest for the ghost, getting into the fool's mines and beating all the enemies, mini-bosses, and boss. Getting the dungeon treasure and going to the ghost in the graveyard, getting the boat and sailing into the Great Mist is all one level. A short one at that. On top of that, a lot of times was spent updating old levels with new visuals, improved game design, new features like the royal arm in the sewers, and balancing with new mechanics like the healing or weapons-specific attacks. Also, we now have a tutorial. One that sucks at its job. I had 3 people play the current demo with the tutorial, and none of them understood the importance of parrying, aka the main mechanic of the game. I probably have to remake the tutorial and add a mini-boss into it to really hammer home the need for parrying. Speaking of bosses, we now have 6 bosses, 6 mini-bosses, and 13 enemies. We have 4 dungeons, and I won't even count all the NPCs. I am not counting gimmick bosses like the slave manager or the old baker into this list. We have 4 more tools for the player, and on top of the new grapple. Neffy has 3 new abilities. And of course, because I don't know what time management is, I also made a mini-game. Why did I make a mini-game? I know why, because I wanted to build the capital as a full-fledged town, but then I realized that it's not smart to create a massive amount of side content when I have years worth of work before I finish the main game. A lot of time was spent on creating things that connect later to other aspects. The most obvious is the different tools the player has. Half of the tools in the game have currently no use, but I want to know what the in-game player is capable of so that the players cannot return to older levels and break the game or go out of bounds. There are also a lot of things like rooms or paths that I will connect to, yet to be made, content, and mechanics that are not of much use now like fast travel. But, when the game is finished, they cannot be missing. That's just the game though. I also tried to be active on social media to promote the game as much as I can. My Twitter account got 26 followers. I uploaded a lot of my progress on YouTube and got almost 70 subscribers. And at the tail end I made a TikTok account to also invest it with my videos. I have no money, so I need to market in a very desperate manner, I know. I think the biggest help was in getting my game out there was YouTube. Specifically, 2 videos that the algorithm pushed forward, so what started as around 30 minutes of gameplay is now around 4 hours. One's mileage may vary depending on how stuck they are on dungeons or how many tries a boss takes. Let's first put into perspective how far we are. The game is divided into 3 acts. The first is the prologue and 90% of it can be played in the demo. The reason I lack the last 10% is because it's meant as a sneak peek to a lot of future events and areas that don't exist yet. I want to create those areas first and then reuse those assets at the end of Act 1. Act 2 and 3 are about finding and beating 5 shard dungeons, finishing on one final level. Of course, each shard dungeon has its own level with quests, enemies, bosses, NPCs, and all the other bells and whistles. As of the making of this video, the first shard dungeon and its level is finished. That dungeon took me 3 months to finish. If we use that as hard evidence on how long each of these levels is going to take, then I should be done with the main game at the end of 2024. Of course, everything can go wrong, and some parts will take longer than others. I know, for a fact, that one boss will take me over a month alone, and no, I am not cutting it. That shit was stuck for too long in my brain, and it needs out. Even if we say everything takes double the time, then I should be done somewhere at the end of 2025. So why do I always say 2026 as my final date? The first reason, that's just the main game. I am imagining this being something like a Zelda game, and even the most linear Zelda game has a healthy amount of side content. Side quest, optional areas, optional bosses and mini-games are all something that is planned. The second reason, I am using 2026 as more of a deadline to myself than anything else. I don't want to work on this game for the rest of my life. So if I hit the end of 2026 and I cannot finish a side quest or optional boss, then it will get cut while I upload the game on Steam. That's the goal. To put the game on Steam, I want to make a coming soon page on Steam, but before that I want to finish 2 things first. The new demo and that boss that will take a month. I need a stronger demo that not only grabs the attention of players but also teaches the core of the game better. For that demo I will also need to make a better tutorial. I think the best way would be to add a mini-boss that is really hard to beat without parrying. How it stands now, a player can beat most of the first level with just dodging and attacking. I need a...
Oh my god. I get it.
Moment where the goal of each fight becomes clear. I also want that 1 month long to make boss fight because I want to put them into a trailer. Trust me, it will look cool. Don't look at me like that. I also need a better trailer. The one that is there is average at best. I need something that will make people shit themselves with hype, as much as that is possible with a game like this. So, after the new tutorial, demo and trailer are done, I will jump into the first Steam Next Fest that is coming up. The boss I was talking about will be part of the 3rd shard dungeon. So the estimated time frame is somewhere in late summer, early fall of 2024. The plans for the finished game. The estimated size for the main game is 8 dungeons, 30 bosses, this includes mini-bosses, around 40 enemies or more, and areas, NPCs, mini-games, and all that jazz to fill the world and make it feel alive. One's mileage may vary on how long each challenge takes to overcome, but I want the game, played with minimal errors and instantly solving puzzles, to take around 8 to 12 hours. Does this sound insane? Yeah? I understand that I put a lot more on my plate than I should for a solo project. The sunken cost fallacy is really kicking me in the nuts right now. Yet I am determined to see it to the end. Honestly, the social media helped a lot in keeping me motivated. I am doing no 0 days, and as of making this recording I haven't missed a day since 20 October 2022. I just hope the people watching this will keep looking forward to future updates. I know I am not the most entertaining of people. The fact that this script was read off by an AI probably doesn't help. I just rather not have too much info about myself float around on the internet. Also, my accent is unbearable to listen to for more than a few sentences. I am doing my best to finish the game as soon as possible, but it's kinda hard balancing everything without working myself into a burnout. It's not about the money either. If I wanted money, then spending all this time on flipping burgers would net me infinitely more money than this ever will. I just want to make a good experience, and I'm happy that some people are looking forward to it. I am also trying to get more into the community. I am only one fish in a sea of people who need feedback and playtesters. One project I playtested lately that really caught my attention is Tau, The Last Star by Antisonon. Their game looks really cool, and he really would like some playtesters, so if you want, be sure to leave a comment. I'll leave the link to his itch.io page in the description. If you want a playtest Iridescent, then there's a demo over at itch.io. The link is also in the description. Like I said in the progress segment, the demo is around 90% of Act 1 and is really representative of the final game. If it sucks, then I would gladly know about it so I can make it better. Anyways, I rambled far too long already. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. I will see you guys next time.